what is lacking in the Peterson versus Žižek debate conversation is something that could reveal quite a bit to us about this conversation. Žižek is a Marxist, but not as much as he is Hegelian. And so we have to resort to these 20th century, 19th century philosophies in order to understand where these two philosophical positions lie. Peterson is critical of the Marxist philosophies, but he fails to bring Nietzsche into this conversation, which could be very useful in the analysis of Hegel. Often Hegel and Nietzsche are viewed as opposing in their philosophies, and often Nietzsche is used to be used as a darling of extremist ideologies and philosophies, but that criticism doesn't quite stick to him because it was his sister, I can't remember her name, but his sister was the one that is at fault for that. And if you're a student of Nietzsche, and as Peterson has pointed out so many times, he's the one that predicted the deaths of millions and millions in the 20th century because of this totalizing logical system, which could be considered an ideological totalitarian system. And if you know anything about Hegel, then his dialectical synthesis of the philosophy of history is that totalizing system that did away with the need for God, because his attempt to create this internally logical system did away with any need for an outside metaphysical source. And this was Kierkegaard's criticism of Hegel. So if Žižek is going to point to Kierkegaard as his favorite theologian, then I think he needs to deal with the contradictions of Kierkegaard and Hegel. And as far as I can tell, Žižek is not studied in Nietzsche, and he doesn't have an appreciation for him. So although you could say that Nietzsche is not so much a philosopher as he is a prophet, and I could understand why his writings don't fit into Žižek's worldview, Weltanschauung, whatever you will. I think that that is quite a tell, and it shows his hand quite a bit, because we need to, if we're going to be using 19th century philosophies in the post-20th century, then we need to be fair to all of then we need to not take for granted our position, and we need to place ourselves in the position of the cost being millions of lives at stake, and to look at the philosophies that affected and effected that. So I find it to be revealing the lack of Nietzsche in this. And I think that he needs to, and we need to, take serious his criticisms of this totalizing rational mind, which often Hegel is considered to have brought into this, and it is worth considering criticizing that position.